Hello and welcome to askLRR, the podcast where we A your cues by any means necessary, as long as any means necessary means sitting in a comfortable podcast studio with Paul running the board. Hello! This month, I'm here, I'm Kathleen, and joining me is Cameron and Wheeler.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
And we're here to A bunch of cues that you have submitted through YouTube memberships. So if you want to ask us questions, you can do that by becoming a YouTube member, or if you're like, I want to give you money, but not funnel it through the maw of Google, or I suppose Alphabet, really.
Yeah.
You can just do so directly at patreon.com. So Patreon, it keeps the lights on, and YouTube memberships, it asks the questions, and good rewards for good children, right?
Yeah. All good content creators get dessert.
Oh. Nobody said anything about dessert.
Yeah, now I regret that.
Well, let's go off and do our first question. Jet Pixie, Danielle asks, when I was younger, I did weird stuff like naming the trees in my backyard and making up stories about them, and maybe also holding conversations. What kind of weird stuff did you do as kids? Oh, we're so prepared for this question.
Yeah, wow. I once developed an entire, personality for and a deep attachment to an abandoned laceless shoe I saw in a Sears shoe section. It seemed so sad and lonely.
Oh.
Having been denuded of its laces and its partner.
Oh.
It was just abandoned there. I asked my mother if we could buy it and take it home.
Oh. How old were you?
I don't know, 5 maybe?
That's so sweet. Wheeler, what weird stuff did you do as a kid?
I watched a lot of Frasier. Yeah, I learned a lot about, Ralph Nader and U.S. politicians that would get referenced on TV a lot.
Right.
So I had a very weird, immense, knowledge of these politicians, but no concept of what that meant. So they would all have personalities, and then I would attach them to specific Beanie Babies I had. Yeah, it was...
Yeah. I had a very similar thing with Bloom County, right? Where you are, as a child, introduced to a thing that looks like a comic, and as it turns out, it's just like scathing commentary on the American political system. Mm-hmm. But, when Opus makes a joke about Spiro Agnew, right? Suddenly you feel compelled to figure out what that means, if you are of a certain disposition.
Yeah. If you're, I would say, of a different disposition when you're exposed to Bloom County at a young age in a public library, as I was, you just incorporate the word Hottentot into your vocabulary because it's got good mouthfeel. And wonder why Binkley always seems to get such a bad rap. He's a good kid.
So I guess the takeaway from this is that we were all weird nerds.
Yeah.
Were.
Are.
Yeah.
But
Continue
were
to be.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what's our next question? Ooh. At what point did you feel your involvement with LRR switch from being a side gig to either a major or the primary thing you do? And that's a question from Jeffrey Hayes. I will answer that. I came in to work weekends to do LoadingReadyRun stuff for about 7 years, and it switched to being a major thing when I got fired from my job in Vancouver and I moved to Victoria and had some severance money to sit around and become an independent artist with.
Awesome. I guess I started thinking about my involvement with LRR as being my major thing, or the primary thing, about the time when I got benefits. So that would have been last year or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years ago. Wow. Yeah. Although more loosely, when I graduated from university and didn't really feel that compelled to look for a job. in the industry that I had trained in. I suppose that would be like the very soft, like, move into thinking this as a primary thing.
Right.
When I didn't feel the need to be like, well, I should go and get a laboratory job.
I feel like this is slightly more fun than analyzing chemicals.
Yeah, especially since a lot of like laboratory work here is doing like analytical work on food stuff. So you're testing things like fish for mercury content using a hand blender because you need to homogenize the sample. Food work is gross.
About like a month ago when I officially signed on to be a member.
Right.
Yeah.
So benefits then.
Yeah, benefits.
Yeah.
Cash.
Yeah.
Cash is when I started thinking of this as a full-on thing.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. I think if your employer is gonna, if you are gonna dedicate yourself to an employer, they gotta give something back to you, like benefits or vacations and a good wage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I maybe the watershed moment was when I was able to get a new pair of glasses on my healthcare. So thanks, Lur, and thanks to you,
Yeah.
the viewers.
I will say, like, Patreon, YouTube memberships, Twitch stuff, all of that. Yay, thank you for making it possible.
It really helps everything from, vision and necessary medical needs to just like, I don't know, buying like Yu-Gi-Oh themed like jumpsuits for content purposes. It's just like, yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Your dedication to your day job ensures that I can follow my dream.
I mean, when you put it that way.
Please don't do this. Oh God, I need you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe Mitchell says, since this is the month of April showers, I wonder which of you are big fans of thunderstorms. I've always kind of enjoyed them myself. If you don't care for them, or if you all want to share anyway, what is your favorite kind of weather?
I love thunderstorms, but we never get them here.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, our particular area of the Pacific Ocean, I guess, it's right there in the name, Pacific Ocean. It's not just a clever name, it's the peaceful one. We don't really get thunderstorms here.
It's something you need dry air to make thunderstorms because the electricity needs to get all excited, and it can't do that with wet air. And because we're so close to the ocean, it's very difficult to get thunderstorms here.
When I was growing up, I was born in a city called Prince George, which is several hours north of here. And we used to get like just immense dumps of snow, which I always associate with being like very comfortable and pleasant and quiet and still. And then after they happen for 6 months and just turn into a on-the-ground layer cake of ice, cigarette butts, dog poop, more ice, more cigarette butts, more dog poop, ashes from the pulp mills, that it gets less pleasant.
So it's like a Dairy Queen ice cream cake.
Yeah, no, it's horrifying, especially when it thaws. But I have a friend who lives on the East Coast, and they share with me that they get thunder snow, where it's snowing and lightning, which just sounds so cool to me.
Dang, that's intense weather.
That feels like very apocalyptic, but apparently it's just perfectly normal weather.
Huh. I'm a soft West Coast girl. I don't want that kind of weather.
I love the sweltering heat. This is something that I am very strongly opinionated on. I think that heat is the great equalizer in that everybody is kind of miserable and bad and sweaty and gross. And yet you could just wear whatever. It's fine. Just embrace it. There's something about it that, like, I think forces everyone to just either get really irritating or just really mellow.
Last summer during the heat dome, I was on a stream and a friend of mine messaged me and said, "You are literally holding a glass of water full of ice to your wrists and you are wearing a wool sweater. I need you to pick a lane." Right? Like, this is very frustrating for me personally to watch.
Yeah, some of that's bad.
Yeah.
I think it got like 50 degrees in my house. But we have the smoke, right?
Yeah. I remember turning my thermostat on to maximum at one point during the heat dome, and it did not come on. Right, because it was hotter than the furnace could make my house already.
I think it got up to like a mere 36 in my apartment at the time. But I kind of agree with you about heat being the great equalizer, because after it gets to a certain point, no one cares anymore. They're sweaty, and they're just going to wear whatever is comfortable and chafes the least. And, society kind of goes back to a more primordial state.
It's great. It's just the chest hair gets to fly. And you get to look like, everybody gets to look like they're in a Michael Bolton music video.
Yeah.
If they so choose to.
Yeah.
Everyone's very glossy.
Yeah. And then there's people like my dad who are also like fiends for heat, who's just like, finally, 35 degrees, now I feel warm. What is my favorite weather? I like overcast weather. I like weather right after it's rained. I think that's a good time to do things. You're not going to get a sunburn. You're not going to get too hot. You can wear nice layers. I don't even mind a little bit of rain. The Scotch mist, as they call it,
Right, yes.
It's like, it's not really raining. The air's just wet.
Yeah, where you walk outside and you can feel like the pinpricks of moisture.
Yeah.
But it's not like raining?
Yeah, your glasses get wet after a while.
Any weather where I can wear a scarf and a nice wool coat.
Yeah, exactly. And then if only Victoria wasn't so damn windy, so I could also wear a big floppy black hat. Oh, Joe Mitchell has a follow-up. What part of nature do you like more, flowers or clouds? My sister and I had a realization the other day, and it's hard to imagine a world without either one. I'm partial to flowers.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're interesting. Wow, that sounded. What? Yeah, sure. Flowers are interesting, I guess.
Yeah.
I like watching clouds because I, try to think of them as fluid, right? They're up there, literally floating on a layer of different temperature air, which, there's micro variations in the atmosphere that allow clouds to form. And I think that's neat.
Big flower guy. They're pretty. They smell nice. It's incredible.
Yeah, they're free.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to look at them. You get to appreciate them. I went to Bouchard Gardens because our friend Michelle was in town, and it was just like, hey, do you want to see every kind of tulip? Do you want to get as excited as a Dutch person in an economic bubble in the 16th century? Oh my God, I've got good news for you. It's so pretty here.
I really enjoy flower. The backyard of my house, my landlord is a horticulturalist, so, many flowering plants, and they provide microhabitat for bumblebees, who always seem like they're struggling.
The
right?
little bumbles.
Yeah, you'll find one inside a flower, and you can hear its internal monologue of just being like, no, please, no, I'm trying to, can you... It's like they've got two handfuls of groceries at all times and are trying to find their keys to get inside.
I ran into a big fat bumblebee while walking my dog recently, and I was thinking oh God, it's trying to follow my dog, and I'm worried they're going to have some kind of altercation. But it wasn't. It was just kind of fat and bumbly and was just floating at the same pace as my old dog, just kind of wobbling by.
Yeah, I think I love bumblebees because they prove that nature is not actually about survival of the fittest. Because how do those things get around?
Yeah, survival of the just good enough.
Yeah. It gives me hope.
Yeah, every time I see a bumblebee, thick king summer, okay.
Yeah, small king.
Yeah, you drop this, puts giant crown on, crushes bug.
You drop this, king, hands clown shoes.
All right, well, I think we've decided we like bumblebees best of all.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nicholas Falasco says, I've always been curious about your crew's writing process. As a group, how do you suss out a good bit from a bad bit? Are there rules you follow when writing collaboratively? Oh, what a good question. I feel like every bad bit has the potential to be a good bit. But like, if it's a really like, there's no bad ideas in brainstorming. I think
Right.
get them out there, and if they connect to other ideas, they probably have a few more legs. And as long as you keep in mind, like, why is this happening? Why is this character doing this? I think with writing, it's better to come up with a situation and then to take your characters, like for something like Commodore Hustle. And it's like, okay, so if Paul is in this situation, how does Paul react? What is Paul's process? Because you can't just write something and say, well, Paul and Cameron will be here because, they would deal with the problem differently. That kind of thing. I don't know.
Like, when I first started writing here, I did not always have good ideas. I still don't always have good ideas. I rarely have good ideas in general. But it just took time to figure out what actually made a good joke in a largely visual format. Because you kind of have to use every part of the medium. It can't just be like a funny idea. It has to compose into a shot, right? Otherwise, you would just write it on a sheet of paper and tweet it. Get likes.
Or in a novel.
Yeah. And I don't really have a process for that. I don't have a theory of comedy. Maybe that's why I like doing it. But it just required a lot of experience, I think. I guess I have an implicit theory of comedy.
I feel like everyone who works here is like sort of a naturally funny person. I feel like this is, you're drawn to this line of work because, you are a goof. I was a massive, like, clown when I was in school, like, through university as well. So I've always been just like a goofball.
Not me.
No?
Straight-laced wheeler.
Yep.
Very serious, yeah.
Yeah. Bits, you could just throw out as many of them as you want. Don't get attached to them. Just rapid fire them. If they get shot down, that's okay. It's not a personal attack.
No.
Yeah, just throw hordes. Write bits the way, like, presumably an army of orcs would fight battle. Just
Right.
endless wave after wave. And like, we got replacements.
Yep. Yeah. Attack across a broad front, look for weaknesses in the opposing line, and then exploit successes to drive armored forces deep into the opposing army to attack logistics and headquarter units.
A strong joke every 12 seconds or a setup joke every 7 seconds with the payoff every 6.
Like, I mean, that I feel like you're, like, sort of joking there, but I do...
No, I'm dead serious.
Oh, good. Because, like, everything should be funny individually or in service to being funny. There's no point in having, an exchange that doesn't do anything, like joke-wise or plot-wise, even if it's, like, cute or something like that. Like, there's ways to get character moments and other things to have them in service of the episode and all of these things. And the writing here is very collaborative. Like, it's not like we'll have, like, a writing meeting, we'll brainstorm ideas. Like, if we're writing, like, a script for, like, Commodore Hustle, like, one person, because it's, like, eventually one person has to, like, take all the ideas and synthesize them back. But then, we have the script, and then, we'll do a read-through before we record, and maybe people will tweak individual lines and stuff like that, and we'll, like, you're probably not going to be changing the format of the, like, and, like, the structure of the plot at that point, but, like, everything's, up for improvement. And then when you're filming it, then you're like, well, how can we make this visually interesting in the background? How can we reinforce what's going on? What can be a funny thing that is happening visually? I think my favorite bits that we've done are like the bits that are basically not necessarily very talky, but like, God, the one where Beige and Alex went to the hardware store, and it was just like them prancing around because they'd gotten the company credit card. It just ends with them driving in a convertible down the street. It has nothing to do with anything, but it's very visually, like, cartoony.
Yeah, no, the point about how everything actually has to do something, right, is very important. A friend of mine once described one of her favorite novelists kind of like writing all of their ideas out on sheets of paper and posting them around the room, and then, like, trying to use the height of the idea to indicate how funny it is. And then, like, taking them down and then reworking them and then, like, hopefully moving them up. And then when they were all at a certain altitude, that was when they could commit them to paper.
Oh, wow.
But every bit had to actually do something. And like, there's this experience that I had in writing collaboratively where you have like a great idea and it's just sitting in your head unformed, and then you bring it to a writing meeting and you say it and people are like, and you're like, no, wait, I'm not explaining it correctly. Wait, no, I actually didn't write this out or think about it at all. It was just sitting in that unformed space inside your head where you see the perimeter of it and you trust that it's actually funny. And then when you try to explain it, you realize that there's actually no way to structure this thing. And that's something you have to get used to happening. Hopefully, well, maybe it's something I just got used to happening, being unfunny.
I don't think you're unfunny. Okay. Let's talk about punt counter punt, because I jokingly tweeted punt counter punt now requires 4 writing meetings.
Yep.
But it's true, right? You know.
I wouldn't have it any other way. I 100% subscribe to the idea of, like, if it takes 12 hours to make this fart joke sound good, like, what's the funniest fart noise, you know, that kind of thing. We don't have any, I mean, not a literal actual fart joke, but, you know, spend the time to make, you know, to elevate every kind of bit and go, and also just keep going. Like, I think that's the biggest issue. I say issue, but it's a good thing and I wholly support it. But they're like, we should do this. Yeah. Oh. Okay.
Well, now we have to top it. Now we have to do something more ridiculous than what we last did.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a bit of a dangerous process when there's no resistance
Well,
to, like, you
I
know.
think it has something to do with the personalities of the people involved, where it's just like, you know, all 3 of us very much to subscribe to the pool of, well, that was good, but now how can we make it more? Right?
Yeah.
And like normally you would have a sober voice of reason come in and be like, I don't know, this seems like it's taking an awful lot of time. But luckily nobody like that works on punt counter punt to say no.
Oh.
Yeah, punt counter punt is a great example of what happens when nobody says no to things.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful. It's such a good bit. I always look forward to seeing it.
Thank you. It's very collaborative, right? Like the whole thing, it starts, I sort of explained the process before, but the whole thing, it starts with like just throwing around random ideas and then just constantly iterating and building. And then even right before we record, there's like a go back and forth where we'll sort of refine things and make sure we're like 100% sure with it, especially with the last one because it had so much scripted stuff. And then the editing process is just taking all of the best bits and stitching them together. All right. Another question from Nicholas Velasco, who says, my wife and I are coming to your island to celebrate our honeymoon this May. Ooh. We love to eat and love coffee. What are your personal top 3 to 5 places to grab nourishment in Victoria? We have no dietary restrictions.
I can give you... My favorite cafe right now is a place downtown on Yates called St. Cecilia. And it does, like, it has this brilliant trifecta of all the things that I like in a cafe, which is good coffee, first off. Second, abundant power everywhere. And a very nice environment because it has a mezzanine that overlooks 2-story tall windows. And I can just sit there at the bar on the mezzanine and look out the window as like rain lashes against it, and it's just an outstanding experience. My other cafe recommendations, if you are not downtown, are to go to Hide and Seek, either in either the one near Gonzales, or not Gonzales.
It is Gonzales Beach.
Yeah, it is Gonzales Beach.
Yeah, in Fairfield.
Or the one in Oak Bay, which are both great locations. The one in Gonzales has this little courtyard where you sit outside, and the one in Oak Bay is a more traditional cafe that has walls and a ceiling, but you can also sit outside there.
I do like the Hide and Seek, the Fairfield location. The name is so apt because like if you didn't know it was there, you feel like literally got to go down the block behind the pharmacy and like through an alley.
Yes,
It's good.
Wait, where is it?
Behind the Fairfield Pharmacy.
Yeah, across from the elementary school.
Yeah.
It's under an architect's office.
Wow. That is an apt name.
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay.
It's really lovely back there.
Yeah. is the superior hide and seek, I feel now.
I agree.
But you could get a better selection of beans at the one on Oak Bay Avenue if you're
Yes.
a coffee bean person.
And then, like, if you are looking for someplace to sit down and eat, I really enjoy... Oh, brain, it's gone. The name of the place in Market Square. The vegan place.
Green cuisine.
Green cuisine. I like going to green cuisine because it's the easiest way in your life that you've ever accidentally spent $30 on brown rice.
Yeah.
There's a lot... Because they charge by the weight,
Oh.
So it's and it's a buffet. So you go and you're like, well, yeah, no, I could absolutely use like some rice and some, other grains. And those are just like, no, you have to like get the salads, get the tofu dishes. Those are your best weight per dollar thing. Otherwise, just getting grains, you're subsidizing somebody who's picking up protein. But the food is very good.
What are your favorite places to go?
For vegan, it's Lotus Pond.
Mm.
That's Kiefer and I. My husband we could just eat. Well, we'd probably get really sick because we'd eat a lot. But it's so good. It's It's just vegan Buddhist cuisine.
Yeah, so it doesn't have any of the 5 pungents.
Yeah.
Which are leeks, onion,
Garlic.
shallots, and one other thing. And you think that would make the food, you hear that and you're like, those are all ingredients that I like, but you wouldn't notice their absence.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turns out they've worked out great ways to cook without them. There's a vegan a vegan restaurant in Vancouver that I really like to go to that did the same kind of cooking.
It's the darndest thing. It's almost as if there have been many, millions, dare I say billions of people that have been eating a primarily vegetarian or vegan diet for
thousands of years.
Thousands of years.
Yeah, and have figured out how to feed themselves. Weird,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Deliciously.
And then the counter to that is there's this place called Hong Kong West. That's near. It's on a bus route from downtown. And it's still in a nice-ish area if you walk down Oak Bay Ave or whatever. But God bless that they survived. That wave of restaurants closing down and whatnot, because they have this pork blood hot pot that is so killer. It's just like the perfect place. The group of us that worked on the Canadian Highlander Council, it was our spot to go.
Right. This is the place that's kind of like across from Royal Jubilee.
Yeah. We sit down, and they have good vegetarian and vegan stuff too. But we would sit down, like you sit down, you get this pig's blood hot pot that has like Chinese sausage and what I swear to God was just over the counter like Oscar Mayer wieners floating in it, and like get some blackened chicken, and then just the cheapest beers you can find as well. And oh my God, it's an evening.
Yeah. I mean, I really like their Szechuan green beans and the mapo tofu.
So good.
But
So good.
You walk into it and it's like it's out of the 80s because they have those, the walls have the mirrors with like the yellow spots on them so that you don't walk into them. And the chairs are all like from Walmart.
Yeah, it's great.
Right. And it's full of, actual Chinese people.
Yeah.
That's how you can tell.
The
it's a
default
good
menu
restaurant.
is not in English.
No.
That's how you know you're going to get a good meal.
And you're being served by bored-looking teenagers who clearly hate being there and are clearly somebody's kids.
Yeah, they're working in their uncle's shop because they were told they had to.
Yeah.
Oh, and also they have shallot pancake.
Oh, yum.
God, I need to go back.
Yeah. Oh.
Maybe we could do a team building lunch there or something.
Oh, yeah.
That's where the next punt writing meeting will be.
Yes, please.
Let's see. Where do I like to get food? There's a Japanese restaurant called Uchida that's in I don't remember the name of it's in Nootka Court downtown. And Uchida is really good. I think you got to order ahead right now.
Yeah.
Uchida, but their dishes sell out early. They're only open for lunch. They're open for like 3 hours a day, and there's a reason why, because their food is amazing and they are successful and they do not need to do more than this, so they can focus on the quality of the dishes.
Right. It's not like they even have a menu. right?
They just have like, they have some things that are like, they'll do like a bowl or Dunbury or something like that, but they
right.
make their own like traditional like vegetable dishes and stuff like that. That's not the kind of stuff that you just like get at every like this is actual Japanese food made by like, not like fast food Japanese food, like home cooking.
Right.
It's very good. And it's highly recommend. Let's see, where else do I like to go? I mean, honestly, I know we talk about them a lot, but I do like the Parsonage. There's something to be said for their breakfast bagel with tomatoes and spinach if you're a vegetarian, or bacon if you are not. The bacon breakfast bagel is very good. It's very rich, but it's tasty. Where else do I eat a lot? I haven't eaten out very much in the past couple of years. I also have a kid, so I can't go to every restaurant, right?
If you don't mind picking up and not having a place to eat, which, I mean, is kind of how a lot of these places work right now during the pandini, but this one is especially so, Standard Pizza. If you want the best pizza in town, order from Standard Pizza, go pick it up, and it is great. We had for the PPR, we had Standard Pizza after the PPR because we typically in the before times we would go out to a restaurant. This time we thought, you know what, everyone's got to travel, let's just keep it here. So we just had a pizza party back at the Moonbase. We brought back Standard Pizza, and Marshall and Kenji, who live in Seattle and are used to having very good restaurants, especially Marshall loves food and travels all over and is accustomed to high quality food, was like, this is good pizza, right? Like
that white pie.
Oh
yeah.
So good. Michael M. says, Kathleen, I laugh so hard at your world-building details by Law and Order, Camp Nettleby. Cameron, your word sparks imagination and introspection. Thank you. Oh, wait. What inspires each of you to write and GM so evocatively, so beautifully? What creators do you find solace in?
Yeah, I don't know. I just have ideas, and then I make people live in them. They're not always well developed, but usually what I will do is I'll be like, hey, I remember I woke up and I had this entirely creative idea because that is all my own, because I read Borges a long time ago and internalized it, then forgot about it. So now it's mine. And then I'll just put people into it and shake the jar, and then my players will give me something to do the next session.
I like to create. I feel like there is nothing that is funnier than an extremely detailed explanation of why things are the way they are, and the way they are almost always being dumb. Right? The world is a truly stupid and idiotic place when you really analyze it. And I feel like just like capturing that like detail and stuff like that. And it's nice because you just get to create this ridiculous world, and you give people a ridiculous problem, and then they figure out what to do, and they'll interact with things or not. And occasionally you get to write like notice boards for like some sort of like combat gardening club,
right, right,
or something. But like it's not actually that far of a stretch from real life,
No. I think we accept a lot of the absurdities of our day-to-day life just because it's common. And then when suddenly you put it in a different context, like in Faerun, it seems strange and unusual and funny.
Exactly. Yeah, a rich world. Make a world that seems totally alive, and then just, how will the players interact with it? That's what I like to do. All right, our next question. What's your favorite music to chill to when you need to relax? Says Dreamwriter 4242. It's a very complicated question for me. I don't know about you guys.
To relax? I'm always kind of on edge. Burial is pretty high on that list.
Yeah, absolutely. The new one is very good.
I like the new one a lot. Yeah, I don't know. What's relaxing to one person may not be relaxing to another. I've known a lot of people who are like, yeah, I just need to listen to like heavy metal if I want to relax, because it like lets out the emotions that I wish to be feeling, but I can't. you know, I'm not personally like that. I think, like, God, music to relax to. If I want to relax, I'll put on a podcast that I don't have to pay 100% attention to.
Right.
I feel like, you know, I use music more to, like, focus and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I have found that when, like, I want to cultivate an inner peace mind space, you know, and I'm not always relaxing when I do that. Sometimes I'm out walking around, or sometimes I'm like playing a video game idly, and I just want to listen to something that does not upset me or presents me with like a kind of mental order. I like listening to Bach, of all things, like Violin Partita number 3, the Gavotte en Rondo, which you have heard, even if that collection of words is not familiar to you. Is just like a very kind of piece of music where everything has its place, right? The world makes sense. There's an order to it, and it's happy sounding, right? It is. I don't know how difficult it is to play. Hopefully not very, because I like listening to it a lot, although I'm not really subjecting anyone to it. But it's one of the things where you listen to it and you're like, yes, everything does make sense, right? Everything has its purpose. Everything is moving towards a common goal. That is nice. And I think I also associate it with being a commonly available, non-licensed piece of music that documentaries made in the early 80s would use. So that probably has some kind of deep childhood resonance for me.
Fair.
Burial is also good.
Yeah.
What do I...
City pop. I feel like I could just listen to city pop endlessly. It's just so crisp.
How do you feel about, like, it's like, obviously because it was like taking off on YouTube a couple of years ago, now it's basically like getting back into the mainstream. Are you into this?
My only gripe is that I say only, but I only because I know we have a time limit.
We've got plenty of time.
My primary gripe is that the most popular city pop uploads are not any official release. Like the most infamous example is Plastic Love, which the version that, and this is where it gets real deep, is that the version that was uploaded with like 10 million views is not, it's an edit. It's a stretched out edit that is looped, and poorly, I may add. And then it got taken down and it got re-uploaded and it got a whole bunch of views, and then taken down and re-uploaded again. And so now it's been through the wash so many times that it's this Frankenstein's monster of a song, and it's just so, it makes no sense because there are like 3 perfectly good Plastic Love releases that all have their own different qualities. You got the single, you got the album release, you got the album remastered, the earlier album remastered. They all have their own, you know, things to them, and why?
I have strong feelings about when people are like, here's my 6-minute song that I'm cutting down for a 3-minute edit. It's like, why? I want the 6-minute version only. Like, if that was your original artistic intention, I don't want to listen to some sort of radio edit that they'll never play on the radio because it's not a 20-year-old Foo Fighters song. Penelope's been really into, like, listening to music radio because, like, she's like, I would like to listen to music. I'm like, I cannot be fiddling around with my phone while I'm driving. So, and she doesn't like listening to the CBC.
Right.
Because she's 6, and that's very fair.
I thought you were going to say because she's sick.
No,
She will not.
She's a child, right? She doesn't care about municipal politics, you know.
Mom, put on Canada Land, please.
At least she's not asking for cross-country checkup. The comments section of the radio.
I mean, Rex Murphy's not on cross-country checkup anymore.
No. He's
God.
on something quite a lot stronger right now.
Yeah.
Judging from what he writes.
But yeah, so she's been like, I want to listen to the radio, and the radio is all just like, here's a bunch of songs from 20 years ago, or that all sound like they're from like they're still playing Sublime on the radio. It's like, have we not put out new, like, I like Sublime, but why is that in your regular rotation still?
Because all the DJs are millennials, elder millennials.
I know it's the Zone is becoming a classic rock station before my eyes.
I remember the time that I went into a Starbucks, and they had DJ Shadows Introducing playing, and I was like, hey, I love it. No.
What is happening?
No.
If I want to relax, I listen to Boards of Canada or an album I know really well, because if it's an album I know really well, I don't need to focus as much on it because I'm not trying to like listen to it. I'm just like, oh yeah, Nonagon Infinity does open the door.
Yeah.
Like, that's a glib example, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, like one of the things that is a bit contradictory about a lot of my answers to this is that they are not necessarily relaxing songs, or not this is not music that is relaxing inherently because of the quality of the music. It is relaxing because it is an association that I have with it, right? So I'll listen to, Microphone's
Glow Part 2.
Yeah, the Glow Part 2, which is not necessarily a very relaxing album, but it's one that I have a lot of positive associations with, right? Music Has the Right to Children is not a calming album. It has a lot of like weird discordance, and it doesn't have all the backwards masking of Gio Gotti, but it's not like a pleasant fabric softener album, but it's one that I have kind of peaceful associations with.
Yeah, it sounds bucolic until you start paying attention to it, and then you realize there's something very off about it, which I actually think is why Boards of Canada has such an enduring popularity and impact on music, because it's like, well, the thing is, you can listen to it and be like, oh, that sounds very nice, and then you pay like half of your attention to it, and you're like, oh, there's something going on here that's weird, right? Which I love. You love, and many people, lots and lots and lots and lots of people love, but it's not for everyone. Turns out we have a lot of things to say about music. Hidden for Effect says, long had I shuffled through life in sorrow due to the cruel nature of 0.5 and 0.7 millimeter mechanical pencils, until I was brought to salvation through Cameron when he revealed the mighty lead holder many videos ago. Do you have any other sage wisdom on potentially underutilized office supplies that you could share with us?
I starred this one because I was like, hey, this is a question for me. And the answer is not especially, actually. That I don't have any other like big secret techs, but I'm not sure there's a universal answer for this, because it just has to like be personalized to you, which involves spending a lot of money and wasting a lot of paper trying to find things that are like just so. They must be just so. And then you wind up with a bunch of like fountain pens that you're kind of medium on, but then you found one that you like, and that's great.
All right, and our next question is, what is the difference in how you would all personally deliver a joke, whether in tone or poise or delivery, if you're trying to be demure, sarcastic, haughty, or coy? From TK. I mean, I feel like my baseline is really sarcastic, so I feel like perhaps I'm not the best person to answer this, because everything I say sounds like an insult a little bit.
Yeah, I think I'm perpetually haughty.
Yeah.
This is a table of people that when we're not trying to insult someone, it'll come off like an insult. And then we'll get really anxious about whether or not we've insulted someone.
We were having a meeting last week on Discord, and I wasn't called upon to, it was a planning meeting, and I didn't really have anything to like suggest, right? I was there to, take notes and figure out what I was on. And at the end of the meeting, I just said, I unmuted myself and said, all right, everyone, good talk. And immediately had to make another post in the Discord channel saying like, I'm really sorry, that probably sounded deeply sarcastic. You have to understand that was the first time I've said a word out loud in like 48 hours. So I'm surprised I made noise at all instead of making a horrible creaking noise.
Crunchy meow.
Yeah. You open your mouth and fully just...
Right, but you've had that experience where you say something for the first, and your voice is like, gross. Sorry
Yeah.
for that. I did that directly into the microphone, and you realize you haven't actually talked to another human being in like several hours, or tried to make any noise for a deliberate purpose.
Yeah. I find that if you're trying to deliver a joke and you're trying to like, if you're only worried about the vocal delivery, then you can really get into it. You can use your body to help you act. You know, you can, if you're trying to be demure, you can actually like fold yourself back. And like, I'm not a demure person, but like, a demure person would be like more withdrawn. They wouldn't be as outgoing and stuff like that. Sarcastic is easy because it's just a completely flat affect, which is what I have. Haughty, you can like look down your nose or,
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what the difference between what's
Demure
the
and coy.
I guess demure, like coy, is a little bit like, oh, wink,
Yeah.
wink. But demure is just like, oh,
Yeah, demure, you're not looking for attention, but coy, you are.
Yeah.
But with a similar kind of baseline behavior.
Yeah, koi's a fish.
Coy has a thread of like licentiousness in it a little bit
Yeah.
while being demure. I'm just like I'm a straight shooter. These are like my emotions are not deep. I'm not good at reading other people's emotions. So it's just like what you see is what you get with me.
I wonder if like if you were being coy, are you inviting the listener to complete the thought?
Oh, probably.
Right? Like when you were delivering a joke and you were trying to be coy about it, you leave a piece out and then invite the listener to kind of like walk into it.
Yeah, you could just sort of like end your sentence with a trailing, but.
Yeah, or get the flakes up at the top of the water.
They like that.
Yeah.
You're inviting the "did you just?"
Did I hear that right? All right. Harold Price says, this isn't really a question, but since this is April, absolutely this is April when we're recording this, aka Autism Acceptance Month, could you give us an autism acceptance? I know this would mean a lot to me, and I know I'm not the only autistic member of the LER community, and thank you for your continued inclusion and acceptance. I'm so glad that you feel welcome and accepted here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so autism acceptance.
I was going to say this ties into what my comment for the last one would be. One of the ways that I, as somebody that is on the spectrum, I'm not going to modulate my tone at all. You just have to modulate your tastes. It seems to work, or not. Either's fine.
And our next question is, Eric Cholinier, what is your hottest or coldest take about food?
Ooh.
All right, cold take.
Mm-hmm.
Those cold shrimp trays with like the dip, like the weird horseradish tomato sauce dip. Fuck that. Gross. Nobody wants a rapidly warming shrimp.
Nope. The idea that there's no such thing as bad pizza is false.
Oh my God.
I would rather not have it than have even mediocre pizza. Crafting a pizza is actually very difficult.
Have you ever had pizza from the Fernwood Pizza Company in Victoria?
I have not.
Don't.
No.
There's a I like the people that run that restaurant and stuff like that, but their pizza is like
Bad.
it's like they're like, hey, do you remember that greasy Pizza Hut pizza? What if we brought that back and put some hickory sticks on top and charged you $36?
God.
Ugh.
So there's like that's answering another question about where to eat. Is not there, but like I kind of agree. Mediocre pizza, it's like I don't actually want mediocre food at all. I'd rather be hungry. I'd rather wait.
Lightly flavored carbonated water isn't like LaCroix or whatever. It may, whatever the brand or isn't flavorless. it's just a lot of comments from people that have had their taste buds like blitzed by an addiction to soda and salt, and it's I'm tired of it.
Yep.
Sick of getting kicked while down.
I really like lime bubbly.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. Let's see. What else is a good take? Oh, yeah. Restaurant food is. This is back in my day. Restaurant food is often too salty. Like, I know why restaurants put a lot of salt in their food, because it makes it taste delicious, because everybody likes food. But if I have to like have like 3 glasses of water after eating at your restaurant, I think you've added so much. I think you've gone past the point of greatly enhancing flavor into this is bad. Dial back the salt. 25% restaurants. There's my cold take.
Wash your rice and season your rice. That's important.
I guess my hot take, my controversial one, would be that people use so much meat casually in cooking. Like, I was watching a video online, and I think he was making hash brown patties, and he was just like, we're going to add duck fat now.
Why?
I don't know.
What?
Like, here, this is where we will make this with duck fat. And I'm like, but why? You don't need to. You don't even...
The idea that vegan and vegetarian food, as someone that ate, a vegan diet and whose husband is vegan, and I was a vegetarian for quite a long time, it's just like the idea that the food is so limited, or it's just, again, the lotus pond comment. It's like you're acting like there hasn't been, we haven't had billions of people around the world that abstain from meat, that are kind of, what do you think? They're just like, oh, a dry piece of tofu. This is what I love this. I eat this for every meal. Like, no.
No, it's a joyous, celebratory, shared experience, right? Vegetarians love food as much as anyone else. Vegans love food as much as anyone else.
I got a messed up
And they're
one.
good at it.
I got a messed up one. Vegan hot dogs, veggie dogs are just better than normal hot dogs.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
I will 100% go to bat on that. Why would you eat a pork hot dog or a beef hot dog knowing what goes into it? Just get the veggie one instead.
Even from a from a flavor aspect, they are effectively kind of like the same-ish, but the vegan ones just taste better.
Yeah.
Across the board. And it's baffling. Like, that technology to this day is just incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. Why can't we apply that drive to other things?
We've solved vegan hot dogs, but could we solve global warming?
Yeah.
I mean, if we all ate more vegan hot dogs, that would be a huge contribution to it. Fruit's underrated?
Yep.
I mean, maybe it's just that we're grown-ups, but I was, like, serving cheese with, like, grapes and apples and stuff, and it's like, people are like, oh, crispy, delicious fruit. Yum. Nice offset to the fatty cheese, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The hot take, balance your flavor profiles.
Yeah.
It's not all just salt and fat. You're missing the acid.
Yeah. Acid is important.
Eat more nuts. Nuts are tasty. They're great. They don't have to be salted or roasted or honey barbecue. You can just eat a nut. It's great.
Yeah. All right. I feel like we've offered cold, hot, and, dare I say it, lukewarm takes on food.
I got 2 hours more. I got 2 hours of material here.
But I think that does actually do it for this month's askLRR. So I want to say thank you so much to everybody who is a YouTube member. If you are interested in submitting questions to a ever-rotating lineup of Loading Ready Run talking head personality types, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member and sending your questions through for the monthly podcast. And if you're not interested in giving money to Alphabet, therefore to give to us after some, watering down, then you can give it to us directly on Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. We will take money however you wish to give it to us. That's,
Cashier's check.
Ask us about
Cash.
selling out today.
Yeah. It's the Cameron Lauder guarantee. I will sell out.
Yeah.
And I'm very reasonably priced. I've already sold out. Maybe.
Yeah, the price was health benefits.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, thanks everybody.